Dear Super Friends, tonight's podcast that we're recording is going to be a little bit different than normal. Usually I start this show out with my buddy and co-pilot Steve Madura. Unfortunately, he's not able to record with me this week. His dad is going through some serious medical issues. His dad is in the hospital, and Steve needs to be with his dad, and that's the place that he needs to be right now. And we're fully in support of him and his father during this time. We hope for the best, and our prayers are with Steve and his father and family at this time. So hopefully he'll be able to return with us next week, and we'll be able to continue the show as normal. But for tonight, we're gonna have a special guest to host to join me, and we'll go forward and have a good show. But once again, our thoughts and prayers are with Steve Madura and all of his family at this time. You ready to do this, Johnny?
Let's do it, Spencer. Punch it, Chewy.
Welcome, Super Friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot for tonight is Jonny Casino.
That's Johnny without an H. And also, I have a... Wait, real quick. At the beginning of this, you started talking to your super friends?
Super Friends.
Now that I'm on the show, am I more than a super friend?
Well, Johnny, you've always been a super friend to me. But now that you're officially a co-host of the show, it's like, you're like a junior associate here in the Fortress of Nerditude. Not only are you part of the family, but you got a little bit of stake in it. You got some skin in the game.
Okay. I wanted to clear that up. Continue on, Spence. Continue on.
Okay. Well, Johnny and I were two best friends, and despite being fathers and husbands, we do refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 61. We release every Thursday morning on iTunes, Google Music, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and any podcast app you can possibly imagine. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Johnny, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Man, there's something about you saying ear holes that makes me laugh.
I said it once, and I thought it was kind of funny, and then the next week I didn't say it again. And Steve told me that his son Addison just laughed and thought it was the funniest thing. And he's like 9, so I get that. It's right in maybe his wheelhouse humor wise. And I just decided, you know what? Let's just stick with it, man. Ear holes. That's where you're gonna get us.
So I'm on the same level as a 9-year-old. This is where we're landing here.
I find it funny too. So I'm saying that I'm with you.
Okay.
You're not alone.
Good. Man, I'm glad to be here. I have, I don't know if you know this about me, Spence, but I used to do a show 3 days a week, and it was on a schedule. It was Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7:30 in the morning, unless I was working a day shift, because I work a rotating shift. And then it would be, at 9 o'clock that night if I worked that day.
Sure.
And that has since changed. We had to go through some changes. We're trying to hash out how we're going to do things, but now it's just once a week. And it's like this thing happened, and this part of me got removed.
Right.
And so I just don't know what to do with myself. I get up, I'm like, oh, it's time. Oh, it's not time to podcast. Oh, it's not time. But today you sent out the calling, and I'm like, man, I know nothing about this stuff, but I'm here to talk.
That's awesome. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you being willing to jump in, because like I said at the cold open at the top, kind of some different circumstances than usual. And so I didn't want to just go this alone, because no one wants to listen to me for an hour and a half or so. I mean, maybe my mom, maybe not. But I figured, let's put it out there and let's see which of my friends and which of the super friends can jump in. And I'm glad that you were able to.
Well, the conversation in that thread went from no one being able to, me saying, well, I can, but you might not want me, to someone who doesn't know me saying that I'm probably good at it, and someone who does kind of know me tell me that I'm killing shows. So I don't know what's happening anymore.
It was a little all over. It was a lot of fun, though. I was laughing.
Oh, yeah, I was cracking up. My wife was talking to me as like one of the things came across my phone, and I start looking, and I start laughing, and my wife's like, what? And she's like trying to have a serious conversation with me, and that didn't work well. I was gone by that point.
Jonny, we have to talk about our finances. You're like, no, baby, I'm sorry. It's too much. I can't.
Talk about finances.
I don't know. Whatever serious is. Alligator meat. I don't know.
Ooh, alligator meat's good, man.
Hey, man, we got to go gator wrestling.
I literally live near the largest or second largest alligator farm in the U.S.
I know. We talked about this. This is a throwback to generational gamers. This was maybe about a year ago.
Almost
a year ago. I was on Jonny's podcast, Generational Gamers, filling in, and I think we talked about gator wrestling for a good 15 minutes. Like, we just went down a trail.
Yeah, because you wrestle it, and then you eat it, and it's like a double win.
I mean, it's like got to be the most manliest thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, well, especially if you just like dive your head and just start gnawing on it while it's still alive. I mean, you don't get more manly than that.
You start at the tail first and work your way up.
Ooh, I don't know how good the tail meat is. I want to apologize to your listeners for a minute, though. I'm going to apologize in advance.
Okay.
For the first thing is, if there are gaps of silence in this show, it's because I have no idea what I'm talking about, and Spence decided just to like leave that part in of me not saying anything. The second thing is, about halfway through the day after we talked about doing this, whatever, this little bit of a cough came up. Now I think I'm good. I can control it. I can go far away. See this distance thing? I can go far away from the mic. I think we're going to be good. But if I cough in your ear, guys, I'm sorry.
That's the beauty of editing. I can make that disappear.
I don't know what this editing thing is you do.
I'll have to show you the ways of the Force sometime. Yeah.
When you do 3 shows a week, you literally finish the show, hit, go.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I get that. So you're not podcasting 3 days a week anymore. Forget Being Cool's gone back to once a week. Are you still keeping the Forget Being Cool moniker, or have you transitioned it back to Shelved and Forgotten?
So it's back to Shelved and Forgotten. It's still coming out on both feeds. So the Forget Being Cool feed and the Shelved and Forgotten feed are both putting out on there. We're trying to figure out what we're doing with Forget Being Cool. If we're going to make it a bigger thing, we're trying to do some more stuff. I need more, man. I need more than just a video game podcast. Like I need something to rack my brain. And I've got some ideas, and I've got some really good ideas. And Dave Moore, who's my co-host, has some amazing ideas too. It's just a matter of like locking down which ones we actually want to tackle and can actually tackle properly. Right. So I don't know. Well, I'm hoping.
There's this thing you and I have talked about for a while now that we need to put something together on a maybe semi-regular basis. So we should talk sometime after this tonight.
Yeah,
and
man.
We can come up with some ideas, because I've kind of got to this point where like I love the Fortress of Nerditude. Like I look forward to it every week. But I'm almost like, I could also talk about this or do something along this line, and maybe do something like in a season format where I record, X number of them and get them all edited and then release them. And then I can take a little bit of a break and start recording again before the first season's kind of done, and then record up a bunch and then edit and then release those. And so like it would seem like it's a every week thing, but I actually wouldn't be doing it every week, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, the key is to not be topical. If you're topical, you have to come out on time. If you're not topical, 1, you don't have to have any idea what you're talking about. True. And 2, you can release whenever. So it helps. It helps.
Yeah, I've got some ideas. We'll have to talk later.
Awesome. I'm excited. I love podcasting.
So what else is new in the Jonny Casino world?
So the biggest thing that's new for me lately is I have been for about 8 months talking about turning my dining room into an office. And the requirements was I needed doors, because it was a big arched doorway coming in here. And I needed doors in it. We already moved the table and everything out, and they finally came in. It took me like 8 months from the time we decided to do it until we actually had them installed. But today and yesterday and either tomorrow or Thursday, I'm painting these doors. Now, I don't know how you feel about painting.
I I do it when I have to.
Okay. So if you paint a wall, you use a big roller, you're going up and down the wall, you tape the sides. It's not too big of a deal.
Sure.
Now I'm painting 2 doors and the door frame, both sides, and they have 15 panes of glass in each door.
What?
Yeah, it's like one of those. It's an interior door.
Is it like a
French doors?
French doors? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so there's a sheet of plastic adhered to each side of each piece of glass, right? So I'm not worried about getting the glass painted.
Right.
But the way it like goes in from the wood into the glass, like you have to get all up in those little crevices and go around. So you can't just paint up and down the whole thing. That would be too easy and too quick. You have to get in there. And I don't know if you've ever held a can of paint up. I've discovered how painful this can be.
It's heavy.
Well, this is
Quick.
a small one. This is like the small cans. But because I'm holding it with my palm upward and like slightly angled, it all of a sudden you realize that you're using a muscle on the back of your arm you're not used to.
Right.
Yeah, so I did that at like 2 different groups today. They look okay. But I've got, you were talking about this actually. I've got behind me, I have my cabinets, and I've got my toys put up. I got my record player and a couple of my vinyls up over there. I only have a few vinyls, sadly. A bunch of NES games. I got my Zelda collection. I've got so many Zelda games. I love Zelda.
Looks so good.
Yeah. So I got all that stuff. So that's good. I've been off a good bit of this week, which is nice, just because the way I work a rotating shift work. So most of this week's been off, except for like I started a project. I started a project with Chelsea Capri. You know Chelsea Capri.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And by the way, today is her birthday. I know when the podcast comes out, it'll be 2 days after, but today's her birthday.
It is. I wished her a happy birthday today.
So did I.
So I started this project with her that we haven't really announced because we're going to record a bunch of stuff and then put it out. And granted, don't get excited. No one's going to want to listen to this, but it's for us to do because it's fun. And so because of that, we use Skype. So today I was driving home from lunch. I went to this barbecue joint with my wife for lunch. And we're driving back, and my phone starts ringing. And I look down, and I'm the only one in the car. And I look down, and it's a Skype call from Chelsea. I'm like, well, this is weird. And so I answer it, and apparently she Skype called me on accident because she was sitting there doing her taxes. So for about 20 minutes while I'm driving down the road, I'm watching Chelsea Capri do her taxes.
Really?
You would think would be really boring. But
and a little creepy.
Oh, yeah. No, wait. So, okay. In my defense, yes, this is super creepy. In my defense, like as soon as this happened, I started sending her messages over Twitter.
Right.
And being like, hey, look at your Skype window. Hey, by the way, I'm literally watching you do your taxes. And I wasn't going to hang up because it was too funny.
Right.
And so I'm watching her, and you see someone, and she's just like, tick, 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 typing away on her keyboard. Tick, 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 tick. And then you see her like talk to someone about being stinky, you stinky, and tick, 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 tick,
yeah,
tick, tick.
yeah.
And oh my God, it was one of those things like watching someone do their taxes shouldn't be funny, but when you're watching them and they don't realize they've just Skype called you, it's hilarious.
Dude, so like I would have taken the opportunity to be like, no, you need to claim 2 dependents there. No. You want to claim the other credit that actually gets, and like giving her like tax advice because if she would have heard you. Well,
that's
like,
the thing though.
She had anyway.
Yeah, she didn't have her headphones on.
Oh, okay.
So without her headphones on, that's why like I was like Chelsea, and she heard nothing. And then finally she saw some of my message come up. And she puts her headphone on, and she's like, oh. And then her next statement was, well, it's a good thing I was fully dressed. And I'm like, yes, it was.
Right. Wow.
So that was...
So now we know that Chelsea Capri, on her birthday, does her taxes. That's her big thing.
Yeah. Her mom came over and watched their kids, and she did her taxes. And yep, that's a birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Chelsea. I'm glad you got your taxes done.
Sorry, I'm drinking rum today. And here's why. Do you know what happens tomorrow, Spence? And when this comes out, if you're a video game fan, it'll be happening while this is out, when this comes out. Do you play on Xbox at all?
I am not on Xbox at all.
So Sea of Thieves closed beta starts this weekend. And I'm super excited, so I'm drinking rum to prepare for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the other highlight, man. I ain't got too many highlights right now.
Yeah, I'm not an Xbox guy. This generation, I went PS4. And it seemed to be like that's where all my friends were. It's where all the exclusive games I wanted to play. And so Xbox didn't hit me. Plus, I gotta admit, when the Xbox One came out and the whole announcement and the online all the time, and this is more for like TV and like all the stuff that I know that everyone railed against. It was a big turnoff to me, man. I just you have to get the Kinect, and I was like, man, no one plays with the Kinect. No one wants that crap. And so it was just it just wasn't what I wanted. I was like, I'm going to go the other route this time. And usually I won't have any more than 2 consoles in the current generation. So right now it's PlayStation and the Switch.
So I can't make that same claim because I have a sickness. But,
right.
But I prefer the PS4. I prefer the controller
Sure.
because I've been PlayStation the whole way. I like a lot of the exclusives, but I got the Xbox One first because of the supposed like TV stuff that it was going to do that they've completely dropped.
Right. The DVR stuff and all that.
Yeah. But now that's where all my friends play. If I want to play with Dave or Sean or Ben or Chelsea, like Chelsea and I play Fortnite most nights that I'm off work.
Gotcha.
And that's where they all play. So that actually gets the most use out of me.
Go with what works for you, right?
That's what
nothing
works
wrong
for
with
me.
it.
So yeah, that's my week, man. How's yours?
Man, my week's been really good. So I don't know if you probably have heard this. I've been talking about this a while, but I got the movie pass, and this week I went and saw Coco with my whole family, and I was able to use that. And then I also went and saw The Post, which is being nominated for some Oscars. It's about the Washington Post breaking the Pentagon Papers scandal, which happened right before Watergate.
It's got Saul Goodman in it.
Man, that was an excellent movie. It has freaking everyone is in that movie, it seems like. So I did that. I've been continuing to exercise and eating healthier. It's a little over 3 weeks since I started, and I'm down 23 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So just killing it, doing what I need to do. I'm trying to think what else, man. Everything. I had a good week. This week was really good. I mean, obviously the news with Steve's dad and all that's going on there, is definitely, kind of a down note for me for the week, and what's going on there. But, as far as in my little world here, the job's good, the family's good. Man, everything's just, we're clicking, we're humming along, man, getting stuff done and trying to get out of this winter though. I'm ready for the winter to be over. I want to get on my motorcycle in the worst possible way.
So, in thoughts of the winter, so I live in Houston or outside Houston, right?
Right.
And last week on Monday was Martin Luther King Day, right?
Right.
Tuesday, so the wife and kids were all for that day. Tuesday was, Tuesday they were supposed to go back to work. And what happened? It rained during the day and it dropped down to 25 degrees at night. No, that was Monday night. So it rained Monday, dropped down 25 degrees. They canceled school on Tuesday because of ice and whatever. There were wrecks all over Houston. So Tuesday morning, I get to work, and I get to work at 5:30 in the morning. And I get to work, and we turn on the news, and no lie, the weather was on TV from the time I got to work until when I left work that day. It was
really
the weather. It wasn't the rest of the news. It wasn't their normal programming you'd have in the middle of the day. It was the weather the whole day. So they shut down. The state of Texas basically shut down. Unofficially, obviously, but it basically shut down because it got down to 20 degrees.
That's cold for Texas.
It is, but so this starts happening, and I message Sean. And I'm like, hey, Sean, you'll never believe this. Basically, the state shut down. It's 20 degrees this morning with a little bit of sleet. And he's up there in negative 40. I actually was on Skype with him at one point. He's showing a school bus go by as he's slip sliding down the steps of his house.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of pansies here in Texas when it comes to the cold.
Right. I mean, I grew up outside of Chicago, and so, I'm okay with the cold. I mean, it's not my favorite thing, but I'm used to it. But we can get dumped 13 to 18 inches of snow, and they don't close down schools around here. Oh no. It's like business as usual. Plows just get out. Everyone does their thing. And then I see, like, I remember, was it last year or 2 years ago when Atlanta got like half an inch of snow and like the freeway was packed and everyone's like off the road. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
what is going on? Is this the zombie apocalypse? Like, this looks like The Walking Dead. No, it's just, half an inch of snow. People don't know what to do.
That's the problem, is that, like, here, we don't have trucks for that stuff.
Right.
So the best we get is sand, which apparently is only so good.
Yeah,
but
it's not great.
You go over a bridge around here, and it's bad. It's bad
Right.
when it gets cold. And no one knows how to drive in it. Not that people know how to drive in general. But you add that in there, and you get... I got behind this car. I was coming home from work, and I get behind this car that's doing like 20 in a 45 in an area that's not icy or wet. And yes, I just want the force at that point. This is what I want. I want the force, and I want it for one reason. That's to slide cars off the road.
Right. Just force push them out of your way. Like, no, you're dangerous. Off you go. Here you go. Gently push them. Like, you don't want to like throw them into trees at speed. You just want to move them out of your way.
The slow drivers, I just want to move out of my way. Other drivers, I want to throw at trees with speed. I mean, I'll have their airbags force go off or something too, but...
Right. Put a little protective bubble around them or something. Yeah. Because you don't want to murder people, you Sith. Yeah.
No neck hugs.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, Johnny, that you're safe, you're sound, and you're here with me tonight.
Yes.
So let's move along, man. Let's get into Rebel Intelligence. And let's see what's going on in the greater galaxy around us. I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
Okay, we are into Rebel Intelligence. Johnny, so I got a couple things that I found really, really interesting this week. So if you're a big Harry Potter guy, I don't know if you know a lot about Harry Potter, if you've read the books or seen any of the movies, but a term in there is Muggle, and that means for someone who's non-magical, right? Anyone who kind of heard the Harry Potter stuff, you know that term. The interesting thing is when the new Fantastic Beasts movie and Where to Find Them, which was kind of like a movie set 70 years before the events of Harry Potter, it ends up going over to America, and they use a term called a no-mage, which is like the American translation of the word muggle, which I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I thought that just seemed lazy. Like, muggle sounds cool. Like, it's, it's its own little cute word that means this is a person who doesn't have magic abilities. But the Americans were lazy, and so we just call them no-mages. And
wait, is there a chance that just like political correctness has evolved, and at one time no-mage was like the politically correct thing to say, but in that 7 years it became non-PC, and now muggle's the word that has to be used?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because the Brits at that time were still using the term muggle. So I don't know if it's a political correctness issue, but it just seemed lazy. It just seemed lazy to me. So here's the thing. There's a sequel to that movie called Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, which is going to come out. And apparently this one's going to be set in France. And so it'd be curious, do the French wizards and witches use the term no-mage, or do they use muggle? No. They have their own French version where it's called a non-magique, which basically means a no-mage.
I like... First of all, the look on your face as you said that, like, it was almost this look of disgust.
Dude, I hate this. It's so dumb.
Here's the thing, right? So I enjoyed the Harry Potter movies. My wife loves Harry Potter. We started reading the books. We never really got through them when her and I were going to read them together. I have not seen the first Fantastic Beasts. I want to, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's okay.
My kids apparently, maybe it has a slow start. My kids are kind of bored by it.
A little bit. Yep.
Okay.
A little bit, at least, maybe for kids, I'd say.
Okay. Okay, so here's my first question. Do all these wizards, like, or at least the heads of the houses, we'll call it, like get together at conventions in one location, different places in the world every year? I mean, do they interact at all, or are they just kind of like their own separate entities that don't really talk?
So each country has like their own form of government that kind of regulates the magical community. So in Britain, you got the Ministry of Magic. And over in America, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Because it was only seen in that movie, but they have like their own kind of like form of government. And it's not called the Ministry of Magic, but it's something. Someone will correct me and tell me what it is. So France has their own. And if you remember in the book, The Goblet of Fire, where you actually had wizards that came from basically like France, and then you also had some that came from kind of like, I always got the impression like somewhere like Eastern Europe somewhere. Like they all kind of came in and they all, had their own kind of similar stuff, but they called it maybe it's different stuff, and it was like a little bit different and like competing schools, because they're not like it's not like one worldwide magical community. It's a bunch of like segregated magical communities that kind of govern themselves.
But do they meet up? I mean, do they get together for different events, right? Or in some way get together?
Yeah, Tri-Wizard tournaments, they get together. They get together for the big, like the Quidditch World Cup. You'll have intermingling between, different countries and their magicians. And then, of course, you have the crossover in the first movie where you've got someone going from England over to America and vice versa.
Okay. I have to derail this for half a second. Don't forget where we're at in this conversation, because this was leading up to a solid question.
Okay.
How do you feel about collegiate live action Quidditch in the US, or anywhere, I guess, for that matter? Like, this is a thing, or did you not?
No, I mean, I've heard of it.
They run around with brooms between their legs.
Yeah, it's okay. So here's the thing. I'm all for sports. I've got a game upstairs that comes from a book, The Wise Man's Fear. It's a game called Tack, and the author of that book actually got together with a game maker, and they devised a little board and pieces and rules. And like, I purchased that, and I actually love it. It's a great strategy game. So like, I'm kind of all for like, hey, there was a sport mentioned in this book or this movie that's different, and let's try to play this. However, Quidditch involves magical brooms that you fly around in the air. We do not have that technology as of yet. So any attempt to make it look like we do on a collegiate level is just going to look foolish. It's going to look like a bunch of frat boys who had way too much time on their hands. And it's just silly. That's just goofy to me.
See, I could almost get behind it if they didn't try to pretend like they're on brooms, which apparently they do. Maybe
if they were on dirt bikes or something, I could get behind that.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. But like if they were just running and throwing, like if they tried to play it in a way that was semi-realistic.
So that's pretty much the game of lacrosse, though.
I mean,
think about it for a second. That's pretty much lacrosse.
Yeah, but that game's ridiculous too, right?
Yeah, I think so. I was like, this is like hockey, except you don't have to skate and you just run with the ball.
So, okay, if you were to rank these two sports, which one is higher? And higher being good. Field hockey or lacrosse?
That is a tough call. I'm going to say field hockey, because I've known a couple, I'm going to say that's higher only because I've known a couple women that have played field hockey, and I wouldn't want them to beat me up if I said lacrosse. So is it bad to make a blanket statement that there are some women that play field hockey that could beat up all of us at once? This view is not endorsed by the Fortress of Nerditude. This view is only sponsored by Jonny Casino. No, it's not. Like I fully admit, like I've met women that could beat the living tar out of me. Okay. So back to my line of questioning here. Yes. Okay. So you have these different countries. Yep. They do interact with each other. So it's not like a country. So it's not like way back in the day when these countries, couldn't see each other, and in Africa they saw an egg and they called it, I don't know, whatever the African word for egg is. And in America they saw an egg and they called it an egg.
Oh my God, that was racist.
I'm sorry.
That was so good.
I remember the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, let's blame it on that. Oh, thank you. So anyway, so it's not like that. So it's not like they just don't know what the other people call them. They have to have known what other people call them. So it leads me to believe that these are like slurs. Like derogatory terms, and they all have their own derogatory. I mean, because if you go in the U.S., right, there's a number of derogatory terms, and I'm not going to start spouting them off because that'd be inappropriate.
Yes, please, that would be bad.
But then if you go to England, they have a whole different set of derogatory terms.
Sure.
Right, so exactly. It seems like that's the case. Now, the question is, who had the no magic or non-magic first, the U.S. or France?
Well, you mean as far as like the terminology, or just as far as
who was calling them that first? I mean, who stole it from who?
Well, that's I mean, who knows? It's one of those things like, who was the first person to be president? We can't know that. No one has that information. It just happened, and now we've moved on. Yeah. Anyway,
God. Can we debate that on this random show that we're pretending like we're going to make?
Right.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
So no mage is the American version. Non-magique is the French. And we'll just wait for the movie to come out, and we'll see how much it is. Just interesting. I thought they would maybe do like their own like a French version of the word muggle, or maybe a different translation from the British, because that would seem closer geographically. So maybe there would be some crossover. But It looks like it's just kind of a French version of the American. So,
are you sure it's not the American version of the French?
Whatever. Tomato, potato, steak.
Tomato. Yes.
Okay, Johnny, what do you have for me?
So, speaking of books and movies, Stephen King. Are you a Stephen King fan?
Not really, because I'm not a big horror guy, but I have tried getting into his Dark Tower series. I just haven't got there quite yet.
Okay, so Stephen King, I love Stephen King, and I have not read a lot of his big books, but I like his short stories, a number of his novels that are like his non-horror novels, I really loved, right?
Okay. He
has made some movies and some TV shows based on these. So he is known as a movie and TV guy along with a novelist, right?
Right.
His TV shows have not always done as well. Like Under the Dome was his.
Oh, yeah.
And the book was amazing, except for the ending. I did not like the ending of the book at all. But up until the ending, the book was amazing. The TV show had a good first season.
Okay.
Right. He's got some good. He obviously has some movies that have been classics and greats and whatever else. Well, he's got a new idea for a TV show, and this idea was presented to the public on Twitter.
Of course.
I'm not a fan of social media. Not that I don't use it every day and check Twitter every 2 hours at least. But I'm not a fan of social media in general. Here's what he wrote. You're not going to think I am serious about this. So first of all, great start.
Right, exactly.
Okay, you're not... This kills me. You're not going to think I'm serious about this, but I am. I would like to see Dick Wolf. Now, you know who Dick Wolf is.
Yep, Law and Order.
Yep, all the Law and Order stuff. I would like to see Dick Wolf at a show to his franchise Law and Order Vampire Squad.
What?
No. Like, I like Law and Order. Like, I mean, I haven't watched it in years and years and years, but the original Law and Order, I love. I loved seeing both sides of it. I mean, I come from a family with a lot of attorneys. I always wanted to be a police officer when I was younger and stuff like that. So I love Law and Order. My wife and I, we used to watch SVU all the time until we had our daughter, and my wife's like, we can't watch this about children being abducted anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But for the love of God, no vampires.
Here's the thing, though. Like, this seems like a natural progression, right? So we had Twilight, and that was like a big hit and like a worldwide phenomenon. And then, of course, then we get like the kind of the CW teen tween kind of shows like Vampire Diaries that kind of come out. So then it's like a natural progression to say, now we have to have a vampire show in primetime TV. What do? We either adapt a lawyer show we already have or a doctor show, which we already have. So, I mean, Dr. House, MD, Transylvania edition, or, Law and Order special vampire unit or something.
Okay, well, let's look at this doctor one first. I mean, can you imagine how these blood transfusions would go?
Right.
A little for you, a little for me.
Yeah, we will help you out with that. 1, 2, right?
I don't know why I expected you to say 3 and then crunch.
Gotta get the count in there.
Yeah, so apparently this guy Xerox Copycat like responded to this at one point, which I mean obviously it had thousands of likes and everything else, but he wrote, in the criminal justice system, vampiric, I'm sure.
Yeah.
In the criminal justice system, vampiric-based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the undead who investigate these vicious felonies are part of an immortal squadron known as a special vampire unit. These are their stories.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Well done, Xerox Copycat. You got to give him the credit. Well done.
Seriously.
But God, no.
Coming this spring on NBC. I'm telling you.
It's one of those things where like you try to take these shows and add in this, undeadness with zombies or vampires or whatever, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Here's the one way you could do this, and Dick Wolf would not be on board, I don't think. I mean, me and old Dickie Boy are close.
Sure. You talk every weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we message on Twitter. Let's not be crazy.
Yeah.
Not to brag. But it would have to be a spoof show, and that like really good slapstick comedy spoof shows just don't last on TV very often. Not anymore.
True.
I mean,
what if it's a spin-off that like something happens during like SVU where like Ice-T gets bit by someone who they think is like on bath salts or something like that. And instead he's actually infected with the vampiric, gene or whatever it is, the virus. And all of a sudden, like, he's not quite fully a vampire, but he's got a taste for the blood and he realizes that this exists. And so he kind of delves into this underworld, and then he gets brought into the special vampiric unit, and they're like, no, this is a real thing. We have to fight against it. We can't let the no-mages or the non-magiques know that this really exists. Huh?
Okay.
Huh?
Okay, so this is how they'd have to do this. They'd have to do this on a trial basis. So they'd pick however many episodes they're going to do this over. And the first one would start with Ice-T being bitten, right? And it'd have to be him. Like, he's the perfect person. You nailed it on that one.
Yeah.
Right? So he gets bitten by this guy that's maybe on bath salts. One of the other characters like watches this, and the rest of it's kind of from their view, and they're on the outside kind of helping. He's doing this stuff at night because he can't do it during the day. He's not Blade, of course.
Right.
And he's doing all this stuff, but at the end of it, the main guy, whichever guy's point of view this is coming from, wakes up, and Ice-T comes out of the shower, and it turns out no one shot him. Okay, so the one person who gets a Dallas reference there, congratulations.
Yeah. Maybe subtle hints also, like his coworkers notice he's not eating garlic fries anymore at Five Guys. And
but see, this is when you're getting back into the point where it has to be a spoof and it has to be a parody and slapstick. But that would be amazing. Like, that would be a good way to do it.
He refuses to go into a church if there's a cross on the door. If there's been like a murder, he's like, no, I can't go in there. It's not safe for me. Something like that. I don't know.
And anytime he goes to a house, he knocks on the door and they open it, and they're like looking at him. He's like, no, invite me in. You have to invite me in.
Right. He walks past a mirror and we don't see his reflection.
Do you think they could do a whole season with him being a vampire and drop hints the entire season? And
not play it up, but not make it overt, but just do like little things like that. And then at the very, very end of the season, you go back to that episode, like in the first where he got bitten, and realize there was a turning point and he actually turned into almost a vampire, because you couldn't do some of the things because the sucking of the blood and whatnot obviously would be a dead giveaway. But yeah, the garlic, the cross on the door, needing to be invited in, like no reflection in mirrors, like all these just like little subtle things they could barely do. And then at the very end, you realize, oh no, he's a vampire. He got bit. We watched an entire season of a vampire show, Law and Order, and no one knew it. That would be fantastic.
That would be. And especially if they made it the whole season. And at the end, all they did was be like, they like showed him like turn to the screen and like his fangs started showing. And that was it. And then like cut, roll credits into the season. And then they never do like the vampire side of it either.
No.
That would be
crazy.
amazing.
That they would have to do that in Ice-T's last season that he was going to be on the show. Because then how do you go from there when you come back in the fall?
No, it would have to be his last season right before he picks back up his rapping career.
Maybe.
I mean...
Or his career is maybe, whatever he's going to do with, like reality TV next or whatever.
Yeah. He's got a thing doing that someday, I'm sure.
Yeah, he did something with his wife or something. Anyway. Well, let's see what happens. But Johnny, staying on the whole Stephen King thing, there's a story that came out that... This kind of like hurts, even though I'm not a big Stephen King guy, this kind of hurts me, but there was this like book collector, like this, guy who has all this massive collection of thousands of like rare books. And he has a bunch of like first edition Stephen King books and manuscripts. And they end up getting destroyed in like this freak accident. The homeowner had them in his house, and I guess they'd been up in the attic, and he'd moved a whole bunch of them to the basement in order to like clean out the attic, and they were like rearranging and doing stuff. And this gentleman, Mr. Winters is his name, basically like he has all this stuff in, and there's a freak flooding accident that floods his basement, and like he lost everything. Like he had stuff not only from Stephen King, but he had stuff from like signed works from like J.R.R. Tolkien, who obviously wrote the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings trilogy, George R.R. Martin, Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire stuff. And so he lost like 90% of his collection of all this stuff. And obviously he's not going to be replacing it. But I did hear though that Stephen King heard that. And so most authors will keep some printings of like the first run of their book. And I guess he's going to try to help this gentleman out and like, give him some stuff, because he felt really, really bad. And I heard that and I was just like, man, as a guy who loves reading and loves books, and knowing that there's that many like rare and first editions and like manuscripts that never got printed and all that got destroyed, that's just so sad to me.
So a few things come to my mind when I hear this. All right. One is, why do you have that stuff and not have it in like the most secure thing ever?
Sure.
Like if I had all these things, I would have it in one of two places. I would have it on a place that was displayed, like on a bookshelf that everyone who came into my house, and I would literally just stand by it and just like nod my head and kind of like point up at it, like as people came through my house, even if they've been there 1,000 times. Like,
have it behind a steel cage so they can't actually touch it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure. I mean, that'd probably, lasers at least.
Yeah, definitely lasers.
But also, okay, so that's my first thought. Why would you not have it in a place that's like the most protected place? The second thing is, it'd be easier for him to just have a Kindle and have all his favorite authors sign it, and then he'd have all his books signed.
Yeah, but as a collector, and I'm saying this as I look behind you and I see your toy collection and all these figurines,
my NES and Super Nintendo games.
Yes, all the stuff behind you. I think you understand, because I've got a lot of that similar stuff myself. The idea of like collecting things, and like if you're into books, like collecting rare edition books and signed books by authors and stuff that's like really hard to get, first editions, like that's their amiibos or their,
that's their amiibos. That's almost sad.
Well, is it more sad that like that they're doing that, or that we're collecting amiibos?
No, that's the sad part. It's the amiibo part's the sad part. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I have 10 or 15 amiibos. I don't have a lot. This is my favorite. My one from Pikmin is probably my favorite because it's really cool. But I mean, I'm really hoping they're putting their books of this sort on a level well above Amiibos.
Now, you can barely see behind me because it's kind of in the back side of the room, but I've got this bookshelf, and I've got some signed autograph books by Brandon Sanderson, who's one of my favorite authors in his most recent series of Stormlight Archives. And I've got them in hardback, and they're signed. Like, they're up like a good 5 feet, and this is the main level. I have a basement. So, like, if we get a flooding, they're not going to be the first thing I'm going to save. I'm going to save my wife and my kids, then my motorcycle, then probably, signed books and Amiibos and, the rest of whatever I can get. But I just not in the basement. That would not be the place I would want to keep them because it's musty and old, and I'm just, yeah. I feel bad for the guy though.
Let's bring a few things into perspective for me personally. So one, my daughter said something recently. So I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son.
And she just learned to talk? That's amazing.
It's about time. They call that gifted and talented these days. I don't understand. Right. So she loves to read. She just learned to talk, but loves to read. And she has a Kindle Paperwhite. Yeah. Right, which is the Kindle that doesn't do anything but do books, and it's very paper looking and stuff.
I've got one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. And we keep asking her where it is, and she couldn't find it it was lost for a year. It just recently found.
Whoa.
But we asked her, she's like, I don't really like it. I'm like, well, why not? She's like, I like the feel of the paper in the books. And my wife and I are like, all right, well, that's like the one answer we can't argue with.
Right.
Now, granted, we found it, and the nice thing is we can rent books from the library, and we can't actually make it to the library, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I live in Houston. I don't know if you've seen the news in the last 6 months. We had a little bit of rain here a few months back.
I heard he got a couple inches.
Yeah. So where I live, there was, I want to say 60 something inches in a couple days, something like that.
Crazy amount.
Yeah. It turns out because of the way my house is situated in the newer neighborhoods and stuff like that, I was easily fine. I had no worry. I never once got scared. But flooding's a real thing here. And flooding to people's rooftops. I mean, there's videos of people having to have boats go get them off their roofs. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, man, if it started flooding and we were really worried we're going to have to leave, or if a hurricane come through, I mean, I'm close to the Gulf. Hurricanes can easily come wipe out, my whole neighborhood in a heartbeat. I was like, what would I grab? And my first thought was the Switch.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy because then if nothing else, and this was somewhat of a thoughtless act, but it's my son would be able to play it when wherever we're at. Right?
Sure.
And I was like, well, then I'd have to grab the Xbox, although not necessarily because insurance would replace it. All my games are digital on that anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm trying to think what you'd grab, and I can't imagine if my thought was, oh no, I need to grab all these books that are super rare because they're first edition and they're signed and they're all this stuff. I'm packing oh, sorry, Cat, which by the way, cats get to stay. Sorry, Cat, I can't fit you in here. I have to fit these books.
It's an interesting thing to think about, right? What do you leave behind? What do you take? And unfortunately, whatever was going on, this guy either, I don't know if it was bad enough that he had to get out of the house, or maybe it was just the basement that flooded, but lost them books. Can't get them back. They're gone.
Yeah, that is something. It's something you can't be replaced. I mean, my Switch, God help me, could be replaced. Right. My save files apparently not, but the system itself could be.
Right.
But all my other gaming systems can be replaced. But yeah, those books, you can't. I mean, Stephen King's, I guess, trying to help, but man.
Right. So anyway, what else you got for us, Johnny?
So I don't know how much you follow on the Twitters, different gaming stuff, but a few days ago, looks like maybe the 17th, something like that. Yep. There was an announcement on Twitter, and I'm assuming some other places, hey, look, Nintendo's going to be making an announcement today for kids and those that are kids at heart. And people were freaking out. So on Shelved and Forgotten, Dave and I talked about it a little bit, and Dave's like, oh, they're talking about tablet mode. I'm like, it's not going to be tablet mode.
No.
A bunch of other people were freaking out. And eventually this thing came out, and it's called Labo. How do you pronounce it? Labo?
Labo?
Labo. You know what? That would make sense. Labo. And what it is, and I'm very torn on this, so maybe you can help me decide on whether or not I'm just going to say screw it and be nice to my son. But it's these cardboard contraptions that they send you, and they send you the game card, right? It's not a disc anymore, I guess.
Right.
And they send you that, and you put it in, and it shows you how to build out of the cardboard they send you these different things, and then you control them with the Switch, or the Switch becomes part of them. So I'm looking at the screen right now, and there's like this bug-looking creature. It has a Joy-Con on each side, and you're controlling it with a touchpad on the Switch. And what's nice is that like the HD rumble on the Switch. I mean, you have a Switch, right? But for those of you out there who don't, like HD rumble, the moment you feel it and understand what it does, it is amazing.
It's so cool.
Have you played Mr. Shifty?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Mr. Shifty is an indie game. It's pretty cool. But when you play it, you hit these rooms with those explosions, and the explosions, as far as the Joy-Cons go, will literally, you can feel them start in the middle and fade outward.
That's
in
cool.
In your hands. It's super amazing. So because of that technology, they can use these Joy-Cons on the side of this to basically make these things walk. There's a piano, and I've kind of read a little bit up on how this piano works, where when you push on the keys, it moves a piece inside with string and has reflective tape on it. And one of the Joy-Cons has like an IR sensor on it.
Right. Yep.
And it will see how far that thing moves and which one moves. And it will make a piano sound that matches it.
That's cool.
There's also like this big giant robot backpack thing that you can build and put on there. Now, here's the problem. And I say the problem, I guess it really depends on who you are, what your gaming budget is, and the such.
Right.
So there's one set that's $70. Yes, and that's what's making me second guess this. But there's one set that's $70. And it comes with like 4 or 5 different things you can build. I think it comes with like a house, which I don't know what the house does. It comes with the piano, I believe. It comes with one of the bugs. Maybe the fishing rod. There's a fishing game. And I think the motorcycle. There's a motorcycle thing that builds up. You can sit above it.
Yeah. You said the magic word. I'm in.
A Spence. It might be a crotch rocket.
I'm out.
I mean, have you ever ridden a crotch rocket?
No, for a good reason.
I've ridden 2. One was a 700 or 600 cc Ninja.
Okay.
Which I took. So in Houston, we have highways that merge to highways with these like very looping ramps from one to the other. I took that about 110 miles an hour.
Ooh.
And then I was like, I don't ever need to do that again.
Yeah.
And so for the listeners out there, Spencer and I both ride cruisers. I ride the American version of a Japanese cruiser. He rides an actual American cruiser. I'm sorry, Spence. I know we can still be friends.
Nay, man. I rode Japanese for a long time. I got nothing but love. No worries.
But anyway, so there's a motorcycle game where you actually put the Switch where like your speedometer and all that stuff would be, and the handlebars are out next to it, and you control the motorcycle that way. Because the thing itself has the motion controls built into the Switch. It looks really cool. There's a couple concerns. One is the price. It's $70 for that one.
A lot.
It's $80 for this giant robot one. But this giant robot one, it might use 2 sets of Joy-Cons. I don't remember for sure. And you put this big backpack on. It's got these strings that attach to things on your hands, and you're literally like controlling a giant robot with your body. And you have to admit that's cool.
That is way cool.
But the other thing is it's cardboard. So you build this thing, which may or may not be difficult, right? I've put together many kids' toys that have me saying words that I will not say on the show.
Right.
And then let's say someone trips and falls on it.
You're done.
Or let's say it gets wet, right?
You got that flood that takes out those manuscripts and your Labo Nintendo Switch contraption.
As it turns out, though, the manuscripts and the contraption make it in the car, and all the cats don't.
Right.
I'm going to tell you this, but it's something you might not know about me, Spencer. I have 4 cats. And by I mean my wife and kids.
Sure, yeah, not you. Yeah, I got it.
Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy some of them. Some of them are sweet. Some of them make me very mad.
From time to time, right?
Yeah, I mean, they'll come sit on my lap, and I don't mind a purring cat on my lap, right? But I have 2 dogs also. They will make it in the car.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but here's the other concern, and this is the real thing, because I'm in a situation in life where if I really want something, I can go get it.
Sure.
Right? I'm fortunate in that way. I will say in my own defense, I've worked hard to be fortunate in that way, but not the point.
Hard work brings forth rewards. Yeah.
We're gonna get PC here for a second. The only reason I feel scared about saying that is because I know there's people out there that work really hard that have bad luck. But we're gonna start with that. I'm in a situation where I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this if I want to, and it wouldn't be for me. I'm sure I play with this son, but it wouldn't be for me. It'd be for my 6-year-old son. He loves robots. He's got a couple for Christmas. He's got one that you can do different things. He's got one you can control with his iPad. He would probably have fun with this, but the question is, for how long?
Right.
So you have a son, right?
I've got 2 boys. Charlie's 5 and Jackson will be 4 in April. And so here's my take on this, because I was thinking, I'm kind of along the same lines with you, Johnny. Like, this looks cool. It really does kind of look cool. It's unique. It's inventive. Nintendo sometimes does some really weird, wacky stuff that a lot of people scratch their heads. And then other times they do stuff like this where I go, this actually is really inventive. This is really cool. I can see a lot of people getting behind this if they fall into a few categories. 1, disposable income. I too have been blessed and fortunate enough to be in a position where if I really wanted this, I could go out and acquire this. However, my concerns are the fact that A, it's a little expensive, I think, for some cardboard. And now, admittedly, it does a lot of really cool stuff.
Well, it does come with the game, which in theory, games are $60.
True. But the game only is to interact with the cardboard, creation. So it's
also
it's
true.
not like I can pull my Switch out and then like just play a game, that I got with it. It has to interact. But my boys are 5 and almost 4. They're going to think it's cool for about 5 minutes. And then they're going to go back to doing something else. And they'll put it down. And so I feel like if my boys were maybe older, like 7, 8, 9, maybe in that range, because inherently I look at this thing and I say, okay, here's a way to take kids who are, really becoming this digital generation, right? Everything's digital. Like you were saying with your daughter's, Kindle Paperwhite. She actually likes the feel of books, but like that's what she's been using is the digital. It gives kids a chance to mess with their hands and, build something, craft something, so it kind of is going to help reinforce some other, definitely needed like critical thinking, like how does this go together? How do I make this work? That sort of thing. And so like, I think that's great, but I think my boys, A, I would be putting it together. B, they would be tired and done with it within 5-10 minutes. And then I'm going to have this piece of cardboard contraption sitting around to put up on a shelf. And it's only going to get out when occasionally they remember, oh yeah, we had this, and ask me for it. Because I don't see myself playing with something like that a lot.
And that's exactly my concern. Now, I believe it comes out on April 20th. I think that's when it comes out, April 20th.
Yeah, right around there. Late April.
Now, my son's 7th birthday, it's funny you say 7. His 7th birthday is 5 days later.
The 25th?
Yeah. So
Jackson's is the 23rd.
Oh, nice.
How about that? Yeah.
How about that? Sorry, in my mind is an inappropriate joke.
And 5 days later is the 30th, which I don't know what that is, but it's a day on the calendar. Sorry, anyway.
So there's a part of me that's like, I could get him for his first birthday and have him build it. But like you said, he might use it for a little while, but then how long after that? And I don't know. The other thing I heard someone else talk about, I think I was listening to NBC or something like that, and they were talking about how you're having to put your Switch into these things.
Yeah.
And then it can get broken. Now, I have trained my son, mostly due to fear for his life, to be careful with the Switch. And he has recently got to where I allow him to play in handheld mode.
Okay.
Now, the Wii U, he plays with the gamepad a bit when he's in the mood to play a game that he has on there. And there was a period of time when I was always cleaning that because he would like sneeze or cough all over it.
Right.
I think that phase is over. And I think he understands that daddy's not going to be happy if he drops this.
Sure.
So I think he'd be okay with that. I just worry that he'll play with it for a few minutes and then put it down and be done.
I think that's a valid concern. I mean, coming from another father with, young kids, that's my big concern. And, like I said, I'm not against this thing. Like, I think it's a really cool idea. I know there's a lot of people on social media that are like, this is dumb. It's just for kids. And it's like, yeah, okay, but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with having something for kids? Because if they can interact with it more and it piques their curiosity, that's a cool thing. So like, I'm not against it. But just for me personally right now, I don't think that it would be as impactful as it could be on my children if they were a few years older. And that's kind of where I'm at.
So this is what they need to do. Now, this is going to be an evolving thing if it does well enough, right?
Right.
And I've heard people speculate like Lego and stuff like that coming out of it. So this is what they need to do. They need to make a SimCity game. And in the SimCity game, as you build stuff using the touchscreen, you also have to build stuff on this like platform. Now, parents, beware. One whole room's going to be taken up by a city in your house.
Right.
And you're going to need 35 Joy-Cons because you're going to put them in different cities, in different parts of the city.
And $35,000 to buy all of the cardboard from Nintendo.
No, this is going to be like a Lego type thing. So you're going to need like $36,000.
Okay.
Because it's plastic, not cardboard. And then when you put the cheat code in too much, all the Joy-Cons rumble and destroy your city on the pad and in real life.
Let's trademark this idea right now because it's got some potential, I tell you.
I mean, I'm full of good ideas, Spence.
I'm with you, man. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I like it.
I'm going to be a millionaire one day.
Lego Sim City with Nintendo Joy-Cons in them.
Yeah, and you can have like Batman on top of one of them because it's Lego and they get to do things with Batman.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, Lego does the old licensing of all the franchises anyway, so it makes perfect sense. Like one side of the room could be like Metropolis and Superman, the other side could be Gotham with Batman.
I don't know if you know this, but Superman's worthless.
Now, Johnny, you and I are friends, but you've now crossed the line. You are in the Fortress of Nerditude, takeoff of
hilarious.
Superman's Fortress of Solitude, may I remind you. I would not insult the Man of Steel if I were you. Just saying.
Okay, so
just friendly advice.
In full disclosure, Batman has always been my favorite superhero. Although
Vigilante?
Maybe not. Yes, maybe not the greatest movies lately.
Okay.
Superman has always been probably my least favorite superhero. And I don't know why. Like, I can't explain it. It might be that his hair is just too nice. And as you know, anyone with nice hair knocks himself down a notch in my book.
Right. Yeah. We got the bald thing going on. I'm with you. Here's the thing. I love Superman. I also love Batman. Like, I don't hate on Batman. I give my brother a hard time all the time because my brother's a real big Batman guy and I'm a big Superman guy. And so, like, we'll get into these, these little war of words, so to speak. Here's the thing. Superman has a problem. And it's that, like, you can write these great comic stories, but in the movies, Superman is only really affected negatively by one thing and one thing only, which is a piece of his home planet. And if you don't have that one thing, he essentially is a god and is invulnerable to everything. He can pretty much, he can fly. He's got, the supersonic, speed. He can jump. He's super strong. He can stop bullets with his skin. He's got heat vision and he can, breathe and, chill things and freeze them and whatever. He can do all this like crazy stuff. And did I mention he can fly, which is just like totally amazing. I have to say it twice. I love it so much. However, when you get him in a movie, especially like the Justice League movie that came out, once you have him on your side, you pretty much win. It's pretty much over. And so, like, the drama and the tension in movies that they try to build to keep you interested, right? It's harder to do with a Superman character because you have to introduce kryptonite. If you don't introduce kryptonite, you can't stop the Man of Steel. At least not on Earth you can't.
So
that's a problem. Storytelling wise.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
One, Martha.
Yeah.
And we're not going to have to answer that question. It's been answered plenty of times over.
Martha!
Two, are you a Big Bang Theory fan? The TV show, not the theory of the Earth.
I am a Big Bang Theory fan in the terms of how the universe began and in the terms of the TV show.
Okay. So they explained something very early on in Big Bang Theory, in one of the early episodes in season 1, I believe, how Superman catches Lois Lane, the love of his life.
Right. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
And he catches her as she's falling, and as Sheldon puts it, it chops her into 3 equal pieces.
Right.
He's done for. He has mentally wrecked himself.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Superman, you've lost.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Superman can catch and can... Have you ever played hockey? When you pass the puck and it's coming at you, you don't just hold your stick there firmly, because if you do, the thing is going to ricochet off your stick. No. You have to accept the pass. So as it hits you, you drag your stick back and gently slow it down. Superman, why can't he do that? I'm just saying.
Now, are we talking field hockey?
No, ice hockey. I don't want to get in trouble with any women.
So, so I used to play street hockey because in Houston, the greater Houston area, we don't have
not
ice.
A lot of ice. Yeah.
And I know one thing about street hockey. Don't get in the way of my slap shot. It will accidentally hit you in the nuts a few times. We had a goalie on our team that was really, really good. He would not let me take slap shots at him. It was the one thing I could do. I can't skate. I can skate. I can skate well, but I don't skate gracefully.
Uh-huh.
But I can probably, I mean, it's been 25 years, but I can probably still slap shot to a degree that you don't want to stand in the way of it. That's all I know about hockey. So Superman is still chopped someone in half in my book.
Agree to disagree. I know where you're coming from, though. I know what you're saying. But, yeah, come on, man. It's the Man of Steel. We're in the Fortress of Nerditude here.
Steel cuts things.
Yeah, but not when it accepts the pass. It accepts Lois Lane.
I want you to look at the history of steel and tell me what steel you see out there in practical use that accepts things.
That's a good question. I'll get back to you when I can think of something. All right, Johnny. Well, that's all I got in Rebel Intelligence. Do you have anything else?
No, man. I think that's all I got.
All right. Johnny, last week we had a discussion with Steve was here, and we were talking about that Netflix special, the toys that made us, right? It's all about, these classic toys that are, huge. And we asked a question. We said, what was the toy that defines your childhood or defined your childhood? Do you have a toy, Johnny, that defined your childhood?
So I didn't answer this question initially because I knew deep down that something was going to happen and you were going to have to call upon me to be on the show. It was the Force. It was, yeah, yes. Because it turns out anybody, even if someone who sweeps a stall, can have the Force.
That's right.
So first of all, I've seen this special, and it is fantastic. The things you learn about the making of Barbie will blow your mind. He-Man is one of the episodes, right? And the guy who basically, if you ever read Console Wars, the guy who most of Console Wars is about behind the Sega systems, Sega of America, they interview him because he was a big part behind He-Man. All these great things. But I would say there's two toys that defined me when I was a child. One was the Ninja Turtles. I would get up every morning before school. I had a what used to be a whipped cream container. My mom would save those.
Like a Cool Whip or actual whipped cream?
I mean, not the spray kind.
Yeah,
like
Cool
the
Whip.
tub. I don't know. It's a brand,
Cool
right? I mean, odds are we had Walmart whip, but I think it was defined as wall whip.
Right, of course.
If you ever want to find my mom, look at Walmart. So it was like the container, like the big plastic container. My mom would save these, and that's what I would use for cereal bowls. So I'd probably go through a third of a box of cereal, and I would go sit down and I would watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Of course.
And first of all, Spence, who's the greatest Ninja Turtle?
Michelangelo.
Oh, so close. You named number 2. You named number 2 on
let
accident.
me guess. I was going to say, you're going to probably say Donatello, then Michelangelo, then probably Raphael and Leonardo at the end.
That's a good lineup. That's a good lineup because Raphael's rude. But
Michelangelo, he's a party dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had a few of them. I didn't have a lot of them, but I loved it. Like that was probably one of my favorite cartoons. And I've tried to go back and watch the current cartoon of that, and I've heard it's great, and I just can't do it.
Yeah. It's a moment in time. That's for me. Like it's a moment in time in my childhood, like trying to go back and revisit it just doesn't have that same magic that it had in the late 80s.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I don't know, man. It's like if you try to watch the new DuckTales, don't try to watch the new DuckTales if you're a fan of the original DuckTales. Like only one of them wears a hat and they don't have the same voices, and it's really messed up. My
kids like it. Yeah. For me, it's not going to hold up to the original.
No. But I would say the toy that defines my childhood would be G.I. Joes.
Of course.
I didn't have any of the real big stuff. I might have had the Mobile Command Center.
Okay, yeah.
But I want to say that was actually my stepbrother's, given to him by someone on his other side of the family that actually had money. But the Mobile Command Center was awesome. It had the wheels on the bottom, and you roll it, and you it had the hinges so it like kind of unfold almost, and it had a jail in it that was kind of cool and stuff. I had a couple different boats. I had a plane where the wings were on backwards. It was I don't remember if it was Cobra or it was Tiger Force, because there was the Tiger Force guys. They had the yellow and black. I had my Snake Eyes. I had Duke. If I could have those guys back right now, like I would give a lot to have those guys back right now.
Cobra
now my
Commander,
wife,
Destro. Oh,
yeah. Now my wife would be mad at me if I had them back right now.
Sure.
Because if I had them, I'd have to display them.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't have room for that. But that was the big thing. Now here's the problem: is what I did with these. Now I was a destructive kid. I like to have fun.
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say because I think every kid did it.
Let's hear your prediction.
You would wind them up so much that the rubber band would snap, and then they'd be in 6 pieces. And that would be the soldier that, took a grenade for the team. Because that's what we used to do.
No. Mine was a little worse. One, I don't remember ever playing battle with them. Like, I don't remember ever having war games with them. So I would do war games with my cousin, but we'd have like the little plastic army men, and we'd have rubber band guns. And we'd sit behind our army men, and we'd take turns shooting at the other guys with the rubber band guns.
Sure.
I don't remember doing that with these guys. I think I just kind of collected them. But what I ended up doing was I'd take the boats and I'd pour gasoline on them, and I'd put the guys on there and I'd pour gasoline on them, and I'd put firecrackers in their hands and inside the boats. And we had a creek that went through my neighborhood, and I'd light it and watch it go down the creek and explode until it sank.
You gave your G.I. Joes a Viking funeral?
While they were alive.
Wow. That's hardcore. I love it.
So we did that with a few guys. I had many other things. Fire's amazing to me. I've learned to control that, but
thankfully, we're all really happy we got that under control.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not the scary kind of fire guy, unless you're a G.I. Joe. So I did that, and the other thing I did that was very, now looking back on it, disappointing to me, is there was a hole in my wall from where I got pushed someone into my door. I don't remember which one, and the handle put a hole in my wall. And I would put figures up on that and like the board that was just below this hole, and I would shoot at them across the room with something.
Would you knock them into the hole and they'd go into the wall?
Yeah, so there's probably still figures in that wall.
Wow.
I need to go. I know where that house is. I need to go back and be like, excuse me, can I bust a hole in your wall and get my figures out?
Yeah, no kidding. Just say, I will pay for the drywall repair. I'll pay for the paint. Here's $500 right now, because I guarantee those G.I. Joes are probably worth more than that.
Yeah, I don't think it's G.I. Joe's back there. I think it's mostly Ninja Turtles and a few other things. Here's the problem. I think I would be disappointed with what I found.
Sure, of course.
So, but I would love, like, I've looked at that and thought about trying to rekindle that in a way, but it ends up being a lot of money and a lot of space.
Yeah.
My cousin collected Dick Tracy characters
from like the movie.
Yes.
Okay.
So they had the dolls. They were much bigger than G.I. Joes, a little bit smaller than like Barbies.
Yeah.
And they came with all the accessories. And he kept a few of them where he had duplicates. He kept them in the box. And I'm hoping he still has it, because my cousin was the one who was meticulous with keeping all the accessories of all his G.I. Joes and all that stuff. I was the guy who would lit them on fire, obviously.
Right.
He had the Tramp. Now, I don't know if you're a big Dick Tracy fan. Dick Tracy's one of my favorite movies.
I remember. I've seen it a few times, so I remember a lot of it. But
I love Dick Tracy. Love Dick Tracy. There's a Tramp. Apparently, some people were offended by this. Thought it offended homeless people. And so they stopped making the Tramp. And he has one in the package.
Wow, that's got to be worth something.
I hope so. But anyway, yeah. So long story short, and also long, G.I. Joes.
And Ninja Turtles.
Because they're awesome.
Well, let's go over to the email and let's see what some of our super friends had to say. Peter Christensen says, "Dear nerds, +1 for Dyson vacuums. They're great." We talked about vacuuming. Says, because we're talking about the toys, he said, Lego had a patent on interlocking bricks from 1958 to 1978 and used legal challenges to prevent competing block toys from being created for a while beyond that. But eventually competition from Tyco, Mega Bloks, etc. meant they had to sell toys and not just sets. This led to licensing Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings for themed sets. There are TV shows, movies, and theme parks. It says they're more of an intellectual property company than a toy company now, which kind of makes sense, from where they're at. He says, the toy that defined me was the Macintosh computer from the school where my mom taught. I spent a lot of time playing with the HyperCard programming environment, and that was the seed of my interest in computer programming that led me to my college and career. Happy 60th. Peter Christensen. Thank you, Peter. We appreciate that. It's funny because we talk about toys, but computers, for people that are around our age, we're really starting to become bigger and more prevalent in schools. And I definitely think that probably had a big impact on a lot of us. That's kind of our generation.
Yeah, definitely.
Rolling over onto Facebook. Let's start with Tony Folan. He says, Star Wars and Big Jim. Now,
who's Big Jim?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the Big Jim toy is. So that'll have to be something we'll have to use the old Google for.
Were you a fan of? I know, once again, I derail. That's what I do.
Sure.
Were you ever a fan of Stretch Armstrong? It sounds like Big Jim and Stretch Armstrong should be friends.
Yeah, no, I'm not really a big Stretch Armstrong kind of guy. It wasn't kind of in my wheelhouse growing up. I was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, He-Man, Thundercats. That was kind of my big toys. But
okay, so who was it you said did this?
His name is Tony Folan.
Tony, I want you to listen up here. I just did a search for Big Jim, and the picture I found was a little disturbing. He's in his underwear.
Let's be honest. So was He-Man.
So, this is what he's in a bathing. So Big Jim, I'm going to take this from just the one picture I found. Big Jim looks like a Ken knockoff.
Okay.
But it looks like oh man. So Big Jim looks like he has a 1920s baseball outfit, a 1800s football outfit, a scuba kit you would never want to go in the water in, and I cannot tell what that blue one is.
So maybe he's like a precursor to the G.I. Joe? The big 12-inch G.I. Joes?
Yeah, he might have been. He's got a sports camper that definitely shows its age. He's got this one, which I'm pretty sure is the Village People.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you, man. This is I am so glad that I decided to Google this after you said this, because I'm pretty sure Big Jim was the original boy band.
Nice. Well, Big Jim and Star Wars for Tony Folan. Hey, man, not going to knock it, right? That's what defined your childhood, and that's awesome. Bruce Hudson says, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Technodrome. Man, I wanted that Technodrome. I never had it. I wanted that toy.
That was expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, everything seemed expensive when they were the big things.
Do you feel your kids feel that way now? Because my kids think everything's cheap because they don't see the money exchange hands.
Yeah, probably. My kids just, Daddy, let's go to the toy store, and I'm like, no. You can wait till your birthday or Christmas. I'm not that strict, but yeah. It's something I got little boys. I'm gonna have to teach them the value of $1 and what it means, and why they can't get all the Pokemon cards they want or whatever they're gonna get into. Eric Salway on Facebook says, Playmobil and He-Man for sure, but as soon as I got my hands on the NES in the mid 80s, that all changed. I mean,
man, you need to watch the He-Man episode of that show where it talks about He-Man, how He-Man came to be, which I knew a little of from reading Console Wars. They actually talk about it at the beginning. But then like how the cartoon came to be and how much different the cartoon was than what the toy creator expected it to be. I mean, because the cartoon was literally there to sell the toys.
Sure. Yeah. Like a lot of cartoons back in the day.
Yeah.
Let's move on here. Facebook. Caleb Albers says, growing up, Legos were a huge part of my life. I'm the oldest brother, so whenever I finished building a set, it would be okay and would be on my shelf for maybe 2 days before one of the other spawns destroyed it. After that, I would try to put it back together, but it always ended up being something completely different. Then, as boys are, I grew up and my Lego equivalent just got more and more expensive or dangerous. My process went from building bricks to Legos to computers to various weaponry, slingshots, blow dart guns, etc., to use on my brothers, and now it's moved to a more productive hobby of refurbishing furniture for my own nerdy needs. I think that's kind of cool that like the toy that defined his childhood like kind of spawned and kind of grew into something that he now does as a hobby, which is, refurbishing furniture. That's kind of cool.
It is, and it's very glad that he quickly passed through. I say quickly, I don't know how long this took, but passed through that phase of potential homicide on his brothers.
Right, the blow dart guns, and it's like, I made a two-handed axe. You're like, okay, and what are you going to do with that?
Look at this guillotine. Put your head in here.
Right. Mom, heads will roll, I promise. That's what it said on the box where I bought it from. Okay, heading over to Twitter. Skinny Matt at Skinny Matt K says, muscle, which is M.U.S.C.L.E.. He says, I had tons of them. Actually, I had 5 coffee cans full of them. Used to line them up on a square board that I used as a ring, and they would wrestle each other. Winners would move on. I did this until a champion was crowned. I don't know, Johnny, if you remember Muscle, but like,
I don't.
They're these like little like pink like figures. Like, I know that it was probably trying to make them look like flesh color, but like they were pink. They were maybe about like an inch tall. And when you'd buy a box, they would come with like maybe like 25 to 30 of them or something like that, and they all had like different poses and like different kind of outfits, but all the outfits was the same pink plastic, so like you had to like really look at it to like, oh, this guy's wearing shorts or this guy's wearing like a unitard or something. So
from a distance they all look naked.
That's right.
And Matt, skinny Matt, you and I have conversed before. Matt, you'd make your naked men wrestle.
Let's just maybe call it Greek wrestling, like the way that it was done in the old times. Yeah.
Because that's better.
But I remember actually having some of these, though. I don't remember having a lot of them, because I think eventually we would get them in like the little toy machine, like out front of like the grocery store. You put in a quarter and you could crank the little dial, and it would pop out in the little egg thing. I remember getting some of them that way, I think, years later.
Well, we all know that these muscle men are born through eggs.
Right, of course. I mean, they have a pinkish hue about them. That's from the hibernation period or in the incubator.
And their parents ate a certain type of shrimp that turned them pink, just like flamingos.
Yeah, but only if their mom or dad had been bit with a vampiric gene or virus that had gotten in them, so they're allergic to the sun. So they could solve crimes. Right, exactly. You got it, Johnny.
Okay.
Bear the Hairless at Chad Fackler 1
Bear the Hairless
says, probably before your time, but adventure people. Spent a lot of time with those as a kid. That and Hot Wheel cars and tracks. I wasn't a huge Hot Wheel guy, but I did have a fair amount of Hot Wheels growing up. Okay,
I'm going to look up adventure people here while we're talking. Now, here's the thing.
People.
Hot Wheels has come so far. So, I mean, I showed you this as I bumped my mic. I showed you this before we started recording. I have a number of Hot Wheels, 6 of them here, like 8 of them behind me, that are like Mario. So I have like a Dr. Mario 1, a Mario 1, Super Mario World, Mario 3, all that stuff. And then behind me, it's all the different characters. I love Hot Wheels. I think they're super cool. I had a number of them. But now, like, Hot Wheels has evolved a lot.
Yeah.
And now we have like the Hot Wheels AI, which is the Mario Kart one. So you have a track and you have basically like an RC controller type thing, right? For the cars. And you can basically play Mario Kart with RC cars around this track. And it's all Hot Wheels. And it's so cool.
Joel NFG at Nin Family Gaming says, these guys right here, I had them all. I wish I still had them. And it's a picture of the old WWF wrestling toys, like Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Macho Man, Randy Savage in this picture. I had those. My brother Josh and I had a bunch. Like my brother had like Ultimate Warrior. I had Hulk Hogan because those were the two guys. I supported Hulk. He supported Warrior. But like we had Macho Man and we had Andre the Giant. We had, Tugboat and King Kong Bundy and like $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Like we had all these. We had the ring, so like we would like wrestle with them and like make them do all the moves and like off the top turnbuckle and like pin attempts and kick outs, and like we used to play a lot with those things. And I actually still have probably a good half dozen or so in a box in my basement. That's awesome. that my mom sent me when she sold her house years ago.
Did you ever have the ones, because we had a couple of them where they were actually like a spring in them and you could push them down and release and they would jump up and do like a flying move if you had their hands up?
Yeah, we had some of those. We also had like the Hulk Hogan one where it was basically like based off the WrestleMania 3 where like his hands would be above him in the air and you could put a character in and he would like throw him. So you could like, have him throw someone over the top rope or whatever. Yeah, I loved those toys.
Okay, so I have to know, favorite wrestler of all time?
Now, if we're gonna say childhood,
yeah, not now.
Okay, yeah. Now, so for me, it's Hulk Hogan. Like he was my hero as a child growing up. He's not my hero anymore. Hasn't been for a long time. Now I will say though, I did meet him at a Comic-Con convention a few years ago, and so I do have a picture with me and Hulk Hogan. And like this was before like all the kind of weird, kind of shady stuff started coming out.
The whole dating the girl that looks like his daughter?
Right, that and the affair that he had with like his best friend's wife with consent of his best friend, like all this weird stuff
that's
that happened.
Some weird stuff.
Yeah. Before any like that stuff started coming out in the media, I actually got to meet him and got to like pose with him and take a picture with him, and it was kind of cool because I was like, he was my childhood hero, that I saw on TV. I mean, my father was my real hero, but like as far as like wrestlers, that was my guy. And then as I got older and I got into like maybe let's say my like later teenage years, and we were still watching. This was the WCW versus NWO kind of era. Man, I would say at that point, like I really liked watching like The Rock, and I really liked watching Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid.
So Shawn Michaels, okay.
He's a Texas boy.
I have an issue with Shawn Michaels. So when I was a kid, there was a tag team group I used to really love.
The Rockers.
And they came out. And
Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
He drop kicked Marty Jannetty to end the Rockers, and Marty Jannetty's career just kind of twinkled off.
Yep.
And Shawn Michaels went on to basically take the place of Rick Rude, Ravishing Rick Rude. He took Ravishing Rick Rude's spot when I think Ravishing Rick Rude went over to like WCW or something like that. And I was like, I was heartbroken because me and my buddy, when we would pretend to be a wrestler tag team, we were the Rockers. Like that's who we were. And he broke my heart with that one. He was the Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah.
My favorite wrestler though of all time, when I was a kid at least, was Roddy Piper.
Oh, how could you not love Hot Rod?
But going on what you were saying about your favorite wrestler and him going down a bad way, there is a documentary, I believe it's on Netflix. I cannot think of what it's called. It's about the media. it's kind of interesting about the whole thing that happened with Hulk Hogan and his friend who's the radio guy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But and I don't say this in a political way necessarily. This thing screams liberal propaganda. Like you think it's about Hulk Hogan, and then within like a quarter of the way through, it just turns into like something different. And you watch and you're like, oh my God, this is not what I wanted to watch. So if you're thinking about watching this, just don't. It turns something terrible.
I also loved Jake the Snake Roberts a lot. I have a deadly fear of snakes. So like that always like creeped me out. But like I instinctually, like I just knew as a young kid, like there was something going on with him whenever he was on there. Like he had this way of just like looking at the other wrestler and like intimidating him. And like you could feel like he was like mentally unhinged or something. And I really liked that because I was like, man, like this guy's nuts. Like you don't know what he's going to do. Like he can slap that DDT on at any time from anywhere. And man, I liked him as a kid too.
My favorite Jake the Snake moment, and it's kind of bad for Jake the Snake, but he fought Ravishing Rick Rude. And Ravishing Rick Rude took his pants and like ripped off the top layer, and it was Jake the Snake's wife's face on his pants.
Right.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. Anyway, a little trip down memory lane there. Going on, animation fan at dspin67 says, a toy, 12-inch G.I. Joe, the Etch-a-Sketch, Hot Wheels, Mattel handheld football, and slot racetrack sets.
Well, he just named like the layout of popular toys at that time period.
Right.
I mean, great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely great stuff. Every week we always ask a question or we ask for a question, and our super friends never let us down. They always come through for us. Thank you so much for your interaction once again this week. Johnny, every week we do the same thing and we ask the same thing. If you're listening to this show and you're wanting to interact with us, you can get us on our email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com. You can get to us on Twitter, which is @fortofnerd. You can get us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/fortofnerd. Or we actually have a telephone number, which is 1-801-477-7687. And you can always call and leave a message. But the other thing we always ask is we want our super friends to go out each and every week and find new people, share the love, go on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, all that good stuff. And you know what? Our super friends don't let us down. They've been really good to us, and we love them for that.
I was waiting for that moment where you always ask Steve, like why they should rate it.
Oh, you want to go? Let's do it, Johnny. Why should our friends help us out this week? What can they do for us?
Well, they can rate the show on iTunes with a 5-star review, so that the Fort of Nord. They can rate it on iTunes, so that the Fort of Nerditude is not as hard to find as Stephen King's next good TV idea.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Well, so here's the thing I want to ask you. I saw this article this week that I thought was really, really interesting, and so I thought we could talk about it a little bit. Do you follow much kind of like the sci-fi tech stuff that's kind of being developed, like stuff that comes from like the movies and the TV shows? Do you ever follow much of that?
I try to catch some here and there, but so much of it either I don't believe in as far as like the practical use in the future, or just scares me. So, yeah. So
there's certain things like, if you remember like Star Trek, right? In The Next Generation, Captain Picard always had like this little, pretty much like what we call a tablet now, that he would be able to get updates on and read reports, what was going on the ship, and, be able to communicate and get like letters from home or, whatever. And like we have that now, like that technology is, the tablets, the iPads, like that exists. A few years back ago, I remember that there was an article talking about how we're very close to the idea of an invisibility cloak, that they were finding ways to bend light around an object so that you would not see the light reflecting off the object, which, makes the colors and whatnot. And you can see that they were being able to reflect light around very, very, very small objects. And they were talking about scalability, and they were talking about how eventually we could come up with material that could bend light around it. And we could have something like an invisibility cloak from the Harry Potter books and movies. Well, just recently, there's this study that's coming out of the University of Bristol, and they've designed this, the best way to call it is, they're calling it a tractor beam. It's, what it's doing basically is it's levitating a small ball, like a styrofoam ball, but it's using sound waves to do it. And these sound waves, basically, they figured out a way, I guess, to use like a longer version of the sound wave. And it's kind of like in this, what looks like a little like radar dish. And so they're shooting all these sound waves at this little ball, and it's levitating this ball probably a good 3-4 inches up in the air. It's not using magnets. I mean, magnets and like the monorail over in Japan, like that's been around for a while, but this is actually using sound waves for levitation. And so they're saying that they think that it's possible, down the road somewhere, that the reality is they could adapt this, they could make this, bigger and better, and that they could actually levitate a human at some point. Jonny, how do you feel knowing that you live in a world where we are close to a scientific breakthrough that would allow humans to levitate with some sort of a device?
Okay, so two things. One, do you ever watch Silicon Valley?
Yeah, the TV show on HBO.
Yeah. So towards the end of the first season, they're going through TechCrunch where everyone's showing off this different technology. Right. This guy has this like heater that heats you with microwaves, and they keep saying no one's going to buy this. There's no way it's safe.
Right.
That's the first thing that pops in my mind with this is like, I don't think I want to be being levitated by waves being pushed against me, because my body acts different than this like styrofoam ball.
Sure.
Here's the second thing. If the only way to pull this off is by having a device sitting there, it seems a little worthless. Like, I want to be able to levitate by just thinking to myself, levitate, and then start doing it.
So telekinesis is what you're saying. That's what you want.
I think I have it in me.
It's just that untapped gene that we need to bring out in you. Something needs to happen tragically to, cause it to come to the forefront.
Yeah, I worked around nuclear reactors for a long time, and that didn't do it, so I don't know what else we have.
But the fact that you were able to have kids after working that close to nuclear reactors, that's pretty amazing, I gotta say.
Heck yeah, made 2 of them. But like, I don't know. It seems like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, and I read through the article, and I read through what they're hoping the practical use is with doing surgeries or being able to build something without hands ever touching it.
Right.
And that's cool. I also think this isn't the technology for that. Like, I don't think what they're doing now will ever lead to that, because you have to be able to manipulate around things where you have to take 2 things and move them apart and back together again, which would mean you need these sound wave producers in between them.
Well, imagine like the CAT scan machine, right? It's that big ring that they slide you into that thing, and it's got all the magnets around it. If they had like this device and one of those things, they could have an assembly line going through that, and so they could manipulate something and put something together maybe in that manner.
Well, you'd be able to take a thing and send it through it, but everything that's in the middle is going to be having the same force pushed on it by this thing that's all around it. So it's basically just going to be pushing everything together in a crunch ball.
Well, maybe not, because I guess if they could determine like the wavelengths, right? Like, hey, this little receptor is going to shoot out, a shorter wavelength, which means the other one that's pushing out the longer one, it's going to start pushing it over towards the shorter one, right? Because there's not going to be as much resistance. So they could use that and program it so that they could move and manipulate the item around by changing the wavelengths or maybe changing the frequencies or amplitudes, something like that.
Now, I'm a sciencey guy, but I definitely don't know everything there is to know about science. And I haven't studied waves. But would they go through one object to hit an object on the other side of it or not? Because if it can't go through an object, then you're screwed. Because you have to be able to put force on two sides of something to make it move into place. Otherwise, it's just going to push against it and you just have to hope. In which case, you're going to end up with a electronic eyeball, because, I mean, obviously that's what they're going to build with this thing.
Right.
That sees cross-eyed.
Well, but at least they're seen.
Yes, that's true. That's true. There's no beauty like cross-eyed beauty.
If they just switch the eyes and the position in the head, maybe
then they'll be like deer.
Yeah, that's true. Stand right in front of it and they can't see you. I look at this and I see some like really cool like possibilities when I look at this, but it also makes me think of like what other things like have we seen in like movies and TV that were like, kind of like the big sci-fi things that we're not getting, that like we were promised, right? I mean, I hear a lot of people like, from my parents' generation, that they talked about the Jetsons, and the Jetsons showed that everyone was going to have a flying car, and, meals would just be delivered to them, on their like little trays, and they would just show up or pop up through the floor, which is kind of funny because now we have meal services. I mean, obviously deliver like pizza, but
in the Jetsons, you would push a button and it would come out in like pill form.
Right.
I don't know. Were you a big Jetsons fan? I love the Jetsons.
I love the Jetsons. I didn't watch it a ton, but I love the Jetsons. I always thought it was a lot of fun.
But yeah, I know what you mean, because there's like the hoverboard.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong.
That's a perfect example.
There is a product called a hoverboard, which is grossly mislabeled.
Which is not a hoverboard at all.
But my daughter really wants one. And there was a company out there that actually made a hoverboard, but it dealt with magnets, but you had to have the surface you were going over painted or something with a special thing. And was it 2000? What year was it? 2015? That we passed. Right. I mean, there goes all nerd cred by not knowing that year. But we don't have it. We don't have any of that stuff.
No.
So
for me, for the longest time, I always thought a rocket pack would be really cool. I mean, I loved the movie The Rocketeer, probably because I have a huge Jennifer Connelly crush.
Who doesn't?
I mean, and I loved her in that movie, and I was a kid, so I mean, of course, really loved Jennifer Connelly in that movie. But I always thought the jetpack, the rocket pack, was a cool idea, and I was like, yeah, we need to get those. But like, look at it for a second, right? This thing is a canister of basically jet fuel on your back that you control with a little hand lever, a little button on your hand that causes open flame, like a jet engine flame, right?
Right by your butt.
How would you not burn yourself to death? How would you not like incinerate your lower half the first time you take off?
Well, people have made these. Like, people have made jetpacks at work. Like, this is it's a reality. It's not a consumer reality.
Right. But that's what I want, though. I want to be able to go to Target and be like, yes, I'd like the jetpack, please. Oh, that's aisle 7. Okay, I'll go get it. And go over, and I want to be able to pick up my jetpack.
You don't think they'd have like a jetpack dealership?
No. This is going to get so commonplace that every retail store is going to sell one. Except
cars are commonplace.
It's going to be like a fidget spinner, right?
Ooh. So you spin it and then you float.
Right, exactly. No, I'm saying like you're going to be able to get it in all different shapes and varieties, and it'll be super common, and everywhere will have it.
Do you remember a toy? I think it had a cartoon, and all the guys basically had these like zipline backpack things, and they were kind of like, so imagine G.I. Joes with these extensive backpacks that had like zip lines, and when you bought the toy, it actually came with the string and the connectors, and you could connect it between stuff and send them zipping along. Did you ever have these?
This does not sound familiar to me.
Okay, I have run into like one person ever that remembers this as a toy besides like my cousin. Anyway, so my cousin and I had these toys. And like I said, it had a TV show for like one season probably to sell the toy. And we're like, this is the future. We're going to make this. And so we got up in the tree house, or the fort that my grandparents land. And we took like a coat hanger with string and we tied it onto one part of the fort and we threw it to the tree nearby. And I hopped up and it, granted, it's like standing on a 1-story house, so it's not that bad. And I had a coat hanger for my little thing and I tried to go across it and it failed. But see, I think it's kind of the same thing. It's like you see these things in the cartoons and whatever, and they're not going to be realities because maybe there's a semi-reality to it, but not a real one.
Right. I mean, I'm with you, but however, we do live in a time when things that, we can make things levitate with sound. We can make things levitate with magnets. We've created, essentially like the little communicator from Star Trek, right? They push their little button and then they can talk. That's Bluetooth technology. We pretty much have that already. Tablets, are pretty much, the little pads from Star Trek. Like we have those things. So like things are being adapted and being made. And it's just a matter of time, I think, with a lot of these things like this tractor beam over in Bristol, England. Like I think it's just a matter of time before the needle moves just enough that the technology can be adapted to multi-use and perfected. And then it's going to be, look at Tesla, right? The electric car, what it can do now versus what it could do forever ago. And I remember I'm sure the idea of an electric car has been around for, decades before anything even remotely existed like that. And now you can drive and stop at supercharging stations and charge your car back up and go again and not have to put a drop of gas in it.
So tying it to the car thing, I think that's like the one purpose I could see validity in this product, right? Is if you were able to make a car that could put out the sound waves to keep it to float above the ground, right? Because then you wouldn't have to worry about puncture damage, road conditions. Right. I mean, now granted, if you drove over a big enough pothole, you're screwed, like really screwed.
Right.
But like, as far as like this article, I think it talks about, potentially levitating people. I think that's absurd. Like maybe if you went to a place that was the whole purpose, like those indoor skydiving type places.
Yeah.
But outside of that, and one, I also don't think it's safe. But like outside of that, like I don't see it being like a way. You'd have to have a suit that sent these sound waves out from all parts of your bodies, and the next thing you know, you're doing the splits and pulling something really bad.
Right. You're like, oh, I pulled something and I got a sonogram all at the same time. How's that even possible?
Yeah, it saw how bad I pulled it.
Right. I've got some great pictures that were just downloaded via Bluetooth. I'll be able to take a look at those later.
There you go.
Well, let me ask you this, because this is what I want to ask the question of the week to our super friends. What would be one technology that you would want to see adapted from like sci-fi or fantasy or, anything kind of nerd pop culture related? What's one technology you would love to see adapted and made a real thing?
I'm torn on this because I know what I want, but if it works the way it works in Star Trek, it scares me. And I want to do the whole beam me up, Scotty teleportation thing.
Yes.
Here's the problem. It turns you into
billions of little pieces.
Well, effectively a computer program, and then spits you out. So is it really you on the other end? I don't know.
I mean, it talks like me. It sounds like me. It's just 7 feet to the left. I think it's still you.
It's definitely a duck.
Yeah, definitely.
But that would be what I'd want, because I mean, there's lots of places I'd like to go see. And the thought of I hate traveling. I hate. Right. I have not gone on vacations because I did not want to deal with the traveling.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, I would love to go there. It's a 4-hour drive. I think I'll stay home.
The last time I went on a flight, I think it was the last time I went on a flight, was last summer. I went to Jamaica, and I had the worst experience ever. If you ever want to hear about it, if you go to Forget Being Cool or something like that, there's an episode that I did that's really short, and the whole thing is me telling the story. But it was the worst experience on a flight you could ever have. If there is a way for me to never deal with that again, I'm on board.
Because I don't want to go into the whole story, but let me ask you one question. Was Sully Sullenberger on this flight?
No, but there was a woman whose kid was wiping her Skittle-covered hands all over me and then playing loud music right next to me when my only thought was, I've been awake for about 36 hours and I really want to sleep on this flight.
So like the best of all worlds, basically, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, so you would take the transporter technology from Star Trek.
I mean, from anywhere, but sure, Star Trek sounds good.
Sure. I would say the same thing, except I'm going to pick something different so we're not on the same thing, because I do love that idea. Here's the other thing, and this is also from Star Trek. The replicator, where they just go to a little panel and they push the button and they say, I want a medium rare porterhouse steak. And then it just magically appears and it's hot and it's cooked and it's perfect, exactly how you want it. And it's just ready to go and eat. No prep time, no going to the store to buy the stuff you need, no, accidentally burning it because you weren't paying attention because you'd set off the smoke alarms and your kids are covering their ears and your wife's yelling what's going on. None of that. I just say, I want mint chocolate chip ice cream, and beep, out comes a bowl of mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Okay.
That sounds amazing.
Now, are you ready for the downside of this?
Sure. We're all going to be fat and die because we're obese.
I mean, maybe. And,
Yeah.
and that wasn't actually the downside I was going for, but yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you could be like, give me a salad,
You could, but if you could have anything you wanted, you'd be like, computer, I want a salad.
So if this thing can make food,
Yeah.
it could also make an Xbox. It can also make an RC
Sure.
car. It can also make a book.
Sure.
Our economy is gone. And when the economy goes, everything collapses. Because even back in the day, there was an economy of I'll trade you a duck for that piece of bread, right? I mean, I think that was the currency exchange at the time, ducks for bread.
Yeah. I think it was 2 loaves of bread to a duck, though.
Ooh, inflation happened. I was referring to before inflation when it was a slice of bread for the duck. Made sandwiches very awkward, but like your economy would just be destroyed. It would go away. And the issue would be is now no one has money because everyone just has whatever they want. So no one's making anything. So now someone has to make this machine. So the only people working in the world are the people making this machine that produces these things. Or the machine that produces the machine.
Right? You make one machine and then that machine makes other machines. See?
So the person who makes that now has billions of dollars for selling it,
right,
but can't spend it on anything.
Right, exactly. It's awesome.
So this is where the issue is, right? Like this is where the problem is. Like there has to be, you'd have to like have tokens or something for this, but that takes away the joy of it.
Sure. Yep.
So
I just love the idea that at any given time, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, man, I feel a little peckish. Can I have a roasted turkey, mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing, no cranberry sauce because I don't like that junk, and some green bean casserole? And all of a sudden, like, I've got a little mini Thanksgiving dinner in the middle of the night. I love that idea.
But see, if I created it, I'd make it snarky, and it'd be like, no. You have to wait till November.
Hey, fatty, you're going to get a salad. That's what you're going to get. You're like, dang it, who programmed the AI in this thing?
Signing up for Weight Watchers is just like a SD card that goes into your thing, and you can't take it back out.
I'm sorry, Dave. You don't have enough tokens at this moment for that many calories. You're like, come on, I just need it.
Oh man.
Anyway, so that's what I want. So Super Friends, I want to hear from you. Do you want teleportation? Do you want the replicator from Star Trek? Do you want hoverboards, man? What is the thing that if you could pick anything, what is the one thing from science fiction, technology, movies, whatever that you would love to see actually come over into real life? Let us know. Once again, you can get us on the email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com, Twitter @fortofnerd, facebook.com/fortofnerd, or the old telephone number, 801-477-7687. Let us know, and we will read your answers next week. Johnny, I can't tell you how much fun it's been tonight having you on the show. I'm so glad that you were able to fill in for Steve and do this. Let all the Super Friends know where they can find you on social media, where they can listen to your podcast, how they can stay in touch with you.
So you can hit me up on Twitter. I'm Jonny_Casino. There's no H in Johnny, by the way. It's just JONNY_Casino. I have my messages open. So if you want to message me, because I love to talk to people, feel free. Say hi. I love to talk to people. But also, every other week, as soon as Ben gets settled down, because he left me and moved away for a while, as soon as he gets settled in, Generational Gamers will kick back up. Every other week, Generational Gamers. And then every Wednesday morning on the Forget Being Cool YouTube channel, and then right afterwards, you can find Shelved and Forgotten, which is where Dave Moore and I talk about a game that we've played that's been sitting on our shelf and completely forgotten about, and then whatever else comes to mind. And usually Dave ends up yelling something about PS4. So
Right.
that's where you can listen to this.
Well, good, man. Glad you're able to be here with us this week. You know what? I'm going to sign it off the way we always do. May the force be with you. Always.